Let's start with something really basic. Every artist I've encountered said that you should paint the hair like a ball because it's on a head, and the head is somewhat ball-shaped, I guess. So this is a tutorial by Xiaohongshu. It's 10 minutes long, but I fast-forwarded because my attention span is declining each day. But I think I got the gist of it, and I will link the tutorials in the description so you can check the full tutorial out. Anyway, first, let's draw a circle. Doesn't have to be perfect and clean. Somewhat a circle is fine. Then we're going to shade it. I'm following the light source from the original tutorial, and instead of using the usual flat watercolor opaque brush, I'm using the felt tip pen brush so I can see the layers of shadow like in the tutorial. But feel free to use any brush you like. On a new layer, add a strip of hair. Is there such a thing as a strip of hair? You can either sketch it first or add blobs like I do. Then shade it following the ball. I'm switching back to flat watercolor opaque because I want it to blend a little. Now keep in mind that this hair strip is on top of the ball, so the shadow placement would be a little higher. Don't forget to use lighter color at the very bottom from the bounce light. I'm adding a shadow at the very top because the hair is folding to the other side of the ball, and I also brighten the light here because the hair is on top. The way I shade hair is by making a distorted U shape or a Hyundai logo, as I used to say. It doesn't look like a Hyundai logo here though, so oh well. Afterwards, just add some details like hair strands so it looks like legit hair and not just a lump of metal. Create a multiply layer between the hair and the ball and add the shadow. It looks much more realistic after we add the shadow. To make it even more realistic, I'm gonna add more hair strands at the bottom. Hair strands should be shaded just like the main hair so they don't look out of place. You can add more strands or even add more hair strips and cover the whole circle with hair to practice, but I will just leave it like this because we're moving on to the second tutorial. This tutorial combines two things, food and hair, namely chili peppers. I can see your confused faces because that's the face I made when I encountered this tutorial by Among I Hua. It looks crazy but doable, so let's try it out. The hardest part in this tutorial is probably finding the perfect chili pepper. It actually took me some time to browse because almost every one of them are in a group and they're either super smooth or super wrinkly. I finally settled with this group of chili peppers and cut out one of them. I made it wider and removed the green thing, I think it's called a stem, and made it even wider following the tutorial. Now we're erasing some parts of the pepper in a zigzag motion. This is very important. Then on the layer below it, add the bottom layer of hair. Now all we gotta do is paint over the chili pepper so it actually looks like hair. What am I doing with my life? I'm sticking with making the Hyundai logo shape for the lighting and focusing it in the middle. The pepper has some highlights on the edges as well, but I'm removing it because it's too shiny in my opinion. Yes, I do realize that this pepper can only be used for curly hair. Even chili peppers have their own niche. I'm adding a line in the middle of each curl for depth. Also, because I'm not convinced that this is hair, it doesn't look like hair. It just doesn't look like hair. It looks like as if I'm twisting a beef jerky or bacon and air fried it. Sounds delicious actually. Anyway, now I'm adding some hair strands so it looks more believable. And maybe if I give it a different color like brown, it will look more like real hair. Oh yeah, I was so wrong. Now it looks like an overbaked puff pastry. Nothing wrong with the tutorial, by the way, my execution is 100% the problem. But let's not dwell on that because we have to move on to the next tutorial after my lunch break. Now this tutorial is for my cell shading homies, and also for those of you who wanted to learn cell shading. I have a dedicated video for cell shading, by the way, go check that out after this video, okay? Grandma still wanna yap. For cell shading, I prefer doing a clean line art. Messy line art makes me wanna paint over it, so clean it is. It's just my preference, by the way, you can totally draw messy line art for cell shading. I'm using Genshin's new character, Linea. Linea? Is it Linea or Linea? Linea. as a model because her hair looks so pretty. I really like the shade of pink they use. Like, it's pink but on the warmer side. It's like a peach color. I love it. I'm drawing her faceless though, so we can focus on the hair. And in the original tutorial by Shi Junjun, yeah, they're also using a faceless character. Okay, I have done the line art and base color, as well as group them. Clip a new layer to the color group so your shading doesn't bleed all over the canvas. Oh, don't forget to set the layer to multiply so the shadow is consistent. Start by making a big shadow. I'm making it curved because the head is a ball and should be treated as such. Then use an eraser to add little lights. I think you should add them on protruding parts. I don't know how to describe it. Parts of the hair that are jutting out and possibly got hit by the light. Does that make sense? Words are not my strong suit, but I hope you get what I meant. Next is shaping the shadows into squiggly shapes. The hair can be considered as a cloth on a ball, I guess. I gotta be honest though, I didn't get good results making those squiggly shapes, but it looks better when I switch to triangles. Then I erase the shadow so it looks rounder. It looks similar to the original tutorial now. Next, we're adding a warm light on the edges of the shadow. Still on the multiply layer, just make sure to lock the layer first. I'm using light orange, but feel free to use a different color. I'm using hue and saturation to experiment with different colors and look at those colors! Yeah, you can never go wrong with cool shadow, warm light combinations. Sorry for the voice. I made the lights pop even more by using an overlay layer. Then I softly erased the bottom of the shadow for bounce light. The lighting on her nose kinda looks like a 4-pack. Sorry. Next, we're back with food. This time it's pingguo or apple. I don't know what it is with Xiaohongshu artists combining hair and food. Don't get me wrong, it's genius. But why? Why are we still here? Just to suffer. Every night I can feel my arms and my legs. The comrades I lost. The people I lost. Such an old meme. You guys can probably tell how old I am at this point. Anyway, this tutorial is from Sugar. Oh, honey, honey. And during the whole tutorial, they're laughing their ass off. Either they're laughing unironically, or this apple hair thing makes the artist happy. I'm gonna assume it's the latter, and I also wanna feel happiness, so let's try it out. Similar to the chili peppers, looking for the perfect apple is quite time-consuming, but the process is quite therapeutic actually. It's surprisingly calming to see pictures of fresh apples with their little leaves. It's so cute. Anyway, Sugar's hair drawing kinda looks like Deluxe hair, so I will use him as a model. Here I have my apple. And sadly, we have to say goodbye to the little leaf and the stem. And then we're erasing the bottom area of the apple so it fits the head. Oh me, oh my, who's the handsome guy? Can we leave it like this? He looks so cute! Oh! We can't? Okay. Just like the chili pepper, we're painting over the apple. I'm adding the fringe and making Hyundai logos to shade. The apple actually has rich colors. There's orange on the highlight and there's also shades of gray, which many Chinese artists love to use to add depth in their painting. It's kinda hard to shape the hair though because there's no sketch. Maybe I should have used a more solid brush instead of the flat watercolor opaque. I suggest using dip pen heart or glass pen if you wanna try this tutorial. If you're not on ibispaint, any solid pen brushes should work. I can't even remember how the lighting looks anymore, so thankfully, I've duplicated the apple before we're painting over it. Now we can look at it as a reference. And by the way, just because you can use apples and chili peppers, that doesn't exempt you from practicing painting hair. Okay? You still need to learn to simplify the shapes, the lighting, the shadows, the layers of hair. It's never ending. Okay? But it's fun, I suppose. I'm doing a very bad job convincing you to learn how to draw hair, aren't I? Well, regardless, prepare yourself because we're moving on to the serious, and I mean serious, hair tutorial. We're using Lohan as the model this time because he is my new favorite character. He's beautiful and unhinged, checks all of my boxes. So this is a hair tutorial by Xiaohongshu, where the end result has a bit of watercolor look. This type of coloring seems quite popular among Xiaohongshu artists, so let's try it. I'm turning Lohan's hair lighter than the original. Many Chinese artists like to start with a lighter base. Next, I'm adding the shadows in multiply layer. I don't know any good watercolor brushes in ibispaint, so I'm sticking with flat watercolor opaque, but I keep the blending as minimal as possible so we can still get the watercolor texture. I'm focusing the dark shadows in the middle and making it curved because the head is a ball. I'm tired of saying it, but it's important. I'm adding another multiply layer and extending the shadows to the upper and lower areas, but keep the darkest shadow in the middle. I made yet another multiply layer and added small dark shadows to the overlapping parts of hair. I draw the shadows into triangles and V shapes so they resemble the hair strands. Next, add soft lights on the outer part of the hair. I'm doing this in a lighten layer, but you can also use screen or soft light. I don't recommend using an add layer though because the light would be too strong. Moving on to the rendering. I set the brush's opacity to 70 to 80% and paint over the sketch. The rendering process is much easier and quicker thanks to the small dark shadows. I didn't have to add additional shadows like I usually do. I also didn't make Hyundai logos. I don't think it would look good here. Instead, I'm drawing the lights like ovals and they are faded at the bottom. I actually didn't render that much. The shading is already solid in the beginning, so there's not much to render. And look at how fast I can go if I'm not lazy and actually put some effort in the initial shading. This took me like, 15 minutes? I usually had to spend hours just to get the hair right. I mean, if you're not into a super clean and tidy hair rendering, the result is pretty good. It's not overly messy or anything. Yeah, I should work on my laziness. I will adjust the brightness and contrast and God, it looks even more gorgeous with more contrast. It's low-key giving the Chinese watercolor painting texture. It looks so good. I tried adding gradient maps. Don't get me wrong, it looks good, but the color strayed too far from Lohan's official hair, so I decided to just skip it. I will link all the tutorials in the description, but seriously you guys, you have to try this one. I'm really pleased with the result. I think I will try this method in my future drawings. So what do we learn today? Hair. We learned hair. Well, thank you guys so much for watching and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye!